I was relieved when planes started carrying handcuffs. Now I wish they did. I've always been afraid of flying. Not in the usual way. I don't care about turbulence or engine failure. My fear has always been people. I think it started when I was a kid, watching those old hijacking news reports. That grainy footage of masked men, the shaking camera, the muffled screams. I always pictured myself in one of those seats, helpless while someone took control. So when I read that airlines were now required to carry a set of handcuffs to restrain unruly passengers had the situation arose, I felt a little safer. At least if someone lost it mid-flight, they wouldn't be able to charge the cockpit. That's why I didn't think much of it when I saw the flight attendants retrieve the cuffs from their locked compartment during my overnight flight to Australia. At first, I even felt relieved. Someone was probably being belligerent, maybe drunk, maybe trying to start a fight. Good, restrain them, keep us safe. Then I saw who they were cuffing. A woman, maybe mid-40s. She'd been sitting a few rows ahead of me by the window. I'd noticed her earlier. She had one of those warm, motherly presences, the kind that made the flight feel a little less lonely. She'd smiled at the attendants, thanked them every time they passed by, kept to herself. Now she was being led toward the front of the plane, wrists bound together, eyes darting in confusion. She wasn't resisting, wasn't even speaking, just looking at the other passengers like she expected someone to object. No one did. I should have done something. Instead, I just sat there, watching like a coward. It was only when I glanced around that I noticed something even stranger. The other passengers, they were awake, almost all of them. Not talking, not reacting, just watching. Their eyes glassy, unfocused, their faces slack. A voice crackled over the intercom. Not the pilot, not a flight attendant, something else, someone else. It spoke in a language I didn't recognize, but the moment the first syllable left the speakers, the passengers answered. They chanted. A low, rhythmic, inhuman murmur that filled the cabin like a slow-building wave. The woman's breathing quickened. She shook her head, mouthing the word please. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I was frozen, watching as they lifted her, not the flight attendants, the passenger. They moved as one, guiding her forward, their hands gripping her arms, her shoulders, her hair. She struggled now, thrashing, but they carried her like she weighed nothing at all. The intercom voice droned on. The chanting grew loud. The air itself felt thick, like the pressure had changed. And then, I don't want to describe what happened next, but I will tell you this. When the flight landed in Sydney, there was no record of her ever being on board. The seat where she had been sitting was empty, had always been empty. No one else seemed to remember. The attendants went about their duties. The passengers stretched and yawned like they'd just woken from a nap. I staggered out of the terminal, shaking, gripping my bag like an anchor. My friend met me at arrivals, smiling. "You okay?" they asked. I wanted to tell them. I wanted to tell everyone. But what would I even say? That I had watched something impossible happen at 40,000 feet. That I had done nothing to stop it. Instead, I just nodded and forced a smile. My flight home is in 2 weeks. I don't think I can fly again so soon. Don't think I can ever fly again. Because now I know the truth. Those handcuffs, they're not for unruly passengers. They're for whoever it chooses next. And once you hear the chant, it's already too late.